Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to cover a few tips on fine-tuning a character that you've rigged. Let me zoom in a little bit on this character here so we can see it a bit better and look at a few of the problems. If I bend the arm, you can see that we can probably get a better bend here for the elbow, so those two pieces match. We've got a similar thing going on here with the bend at the knee. You just need to kind of get those matching up better. Another issue, if I bend this bone here, the torso is splitting away from the waist area. Okay. And then there's another bone up here in the torso which it's kind of problematic, so we might try and deal with that too. And we're going to fix the neck so that it moves better with the head. Now here's a character that I've already worked on just to show you that I managed to get a better bend. I should zoom in. A better bend there at the elbow point, and even removed some, hid some of the lines there so that it looked a little bit less awkward. And the leg, we've got that fixed up as well. And let me click on this bone. So I've kind of attached, it's a little awkward there still, but I've attached the waist area to the torso, so when that bone moves, it looks a little less awkward as well. And then up here in the neck, now the neck moves with the head, so that looks a little better too. And let's see, I don't even remember if I did anything with this bone. I guess I probably didn't mess with that. I also added, just for fun, a couple of antennas here on this character, which these bones probably shouldn't even move because the antennas shouldn't move like that on the head. But I added a little function in there where the antennas kind of sort of spring, they have a springiness to them when this bone is animated on the timeline. But just moving it here on frame 0, you don't see the effect of the bouncing of the antennas. Back to the character that we're going to work on here. I'm going to look at this arm and see what I can do to fix that right there. So for one thing, I think that probably the forearm needed to be moved down just a little bit to get that joint closer, and the bone needs to be adjusted. These bones need to be adjusted just a little bit. So first off, let me click over here on the forearm layer and then choose the transform points and move this down just a little bit, and then back up to the main layer there for the bone, and I'll choose the transform bone tool, move this one down and extend this one. Let's see here. Let's try that out. Okay, so you see how that got that matched up better. And then to have it look even a little bit better, what you can do, I'm zooming in, clicking over here on the forearm front and choosing the hide edge icon. I can click on a couple of these. You know, you can try and do more or not, but see, if you click on that one, you're going to have a break in the line. So you can just try it out. Okay? So it's definitely an improvement. So you can do that with the other arm, and let me zoom out. And of course, the way you'd want to do it with the other arm is to hide that torso and maybe even the waist so that you can see everything. Now you'll want to do pretty much the same thing with the legs here, and maybe I'll hide the arm for now so that I can have a good look at this. And it's the same problem, so it looks like probably we'll have to pull this part of the leg down just like we did with the arm. So let's see, it's called shin front. Move this down a little bit. Maybe the foot will have to get moved down too, but let's go and work with the bones here. And let me have a better look at this. Might need to bring this bone up here near the top of the thigh. Extend this down into what would be the center area of that knee joint. Then I've got to get this bone down here, and then we need to adjust what we've messed up here. So just move these around like that, okay? So you see you're grabbing here on these circles that are highlighting when you pass over a bone, and you get the circle at the top of the bone and the bottom of the bone, and then you can work with that. Okay, well, let's see how much that accomplished. Well, it looks like, let's see, maybe we even need to make this thigh bone a little longer. Bring this one down some more. Okay, there we go. Let's see. All right, so it's definitely getting better, and maybe just bring the shin layer, this object down tiny bit. So you can see that you just have to go through the process of experimenting. Now, just so the tutorial doesn't go on too long, because I think you can see what I'm doing, and let me just hide a little bit of the line there too, right? And zoom back out. Test it. All right, so I think you see the process. I'm not going to just keep fine-tuning this for the tutorial and have it drone on. Now you can see that you may want to make some adjustments here where that shin meets the foot too, right? It may not be enough just to simply hide some of the line down here. You may have to move the foot down too. All right, to test that, you'd have to just see whether or not you felt like the foot needed to be moved down. And again, up here, you might want to, let's go to the thigh, and you may want to hide some of the line from up here too. Okay, now where the waist meets the torso, let me click on, let's see which one it would be. I'm clicking on the body torso layer here and would probably hide some of these edges, okay? But this still needs to be fixed, you see, because it splits from there. All right, I'll show you how to do that. Let me zoom out just a little bit. With this bone selected right here, I'm going to bind some of the points from the waist object to it. So I need to go over here and click on waist, and you can see the points, right? And then over here in the tools palette, I'm going to click on the bind points, and I'm going to select just these. And when I first did this, this was just kind of a trial and error thing too. I had to see which of the points would work out the best. So I started out with just this group here, and then click on bind points, and then we'll test. Okay. So it's definitely an improvement, and you could experiment with grabbing a couple more points or not, but that might be good enough for the way that the parts of this character were drawn. And then, let's see here, I'm going to go up to, remember that, okay? Pretty much the same thing I just did. So that neck is part of this torso layer. And I'm going to click over here on the body torso layer so we can see the points. And then I need to go over here to the bone selection in the tools, and I need to click on this bone up here, and then I'm going to click on the bind points icon, and I'm going to choose just these points right here, up here in the neck, and click on bind points, and let's test that. All right. So that looks a little better, and the head moves and the neck goes with it. And if you wanted to, you could even maybe remove, I hadn't tried that, I don't think. Let's see, where is that head object? Here's the head shape. And no, you'd have to add points if you were going to remove the line in this area, in this case. Okay. Let's see what we've accomplished so far. Okay. The head is looking a little better. We've adjusted this. We've adjusted this elbow. Looks good. The knee is definitely improved, although that probably could have used a little more work. And the leg in general, you know, it's okay. All right. And this part here. All right, and of course you do that for your other arm and leg. Okay, now in terms of this upper torso bone here, I looked at how it was set up and I saw that you had some point binding up here in the shoulders for that. And I thought, well, probably the best thing to do here is just put some bone constraints there, and then you could still work with that bone if you wanted to. So highlighting this bone and clicking here on bone constraints, and you put a check mark in the angle constraints, and maybe if you do say -30 and 30, or maybe even 20, let's see here, let's go to 20 and 20, and then click close, and then test that. And it limits it more so that you won't end up accidentally going too far with that bone. All right, so that may work out best. All right, so that's just a sampling of some ways to correct some things on a bone rig. And email me if you have any more questions.